I was standing under the blinding LEDs of a private jet hangar in Van Nuys, wearing a rented tux that still had the plastic tag loop stuck to the inside seam. Jazz trio in the corner, waiters passing around seared scallops, and I was already regretting every second of this. My name's Chris. I'm 39. I run a drone logistics consulting firm out of Pasadena. Not flashy, but it's real work. I'm here tonight because my wife, Danielle, is a senior flight operations manager at Apex Air Charters, and this gala was the event of the year for them. Industry people, investors, and way too many fake smiles. I wasn't a guest. I was her plus one, and it showed. Danielle barely looked at me the entire night. Introduced me once, awkwardly, as my husband, Chris. He does tech stuff. Then she redirected the conversation so fast I didn't even get a chance to say hello. The guy she was talking to gave me a polite nod like I was someone's board chauffeur. I stood off to the side while she floated between groups, lighting up for every coworker, switching her voice into that performative flight deck confidence I'd seen her use when she was training new hires. Every time someone asked about us, she dodged it, changed the subject, laughed too hard, moved on. 10 minutes in, she walked over and handed me her clutch. Quick note: before listening, share which city or country you're watching from. Can you get me a glass of Riesling? Dry. Just one, she said, not even looking up from her phone. Then, like an afterthought, you can get something too if you want. Like I was staff. I grabbed her wine, got myself a beer, and came back to find her with her crew, half of them in aviation jackets, half in floor-length gowns, all deep in some shop talk about overseas routing delays and backup flight crews. I stood next to her, held out the drink. She didn't take it, didn't even glance at me. I stood there for 10, maybe 15 seconds, long enough to look like a fool, and finally set both glasses on the nearest table. That's when I saw her. Tall, poised, wearing an all-black tailored jumpsuit like it was standard issue from NASA. Standing near the main sponsor table, the one with Apex's CEO. Her arms were crossed, and she was watching us. Watching Danielle. But more than that, she was watching me. Before we start, how's your day going and where are you joining from? She didn't stay by the CEO's table long. I watched her cut through the crowd like she owned the damn floor. No hesitation, no small talk detours. She walked straight up to our group, Danielle mid-sentence about dispatch software, and the conversation just stopped. Danielle saw her and practically snapped to attention. "Commander Sloan," she said, like she was reporting for duty. Her voice went tight, formal. "Good evening." But Sloan didn't even glance at her. She looked right at me. "So this is the husband I've never heard a word about. Curious." Her voice wasn't loud, but it had that kind of sharpness that cuts through music and chatter like it's nothing. All eyes turned to me. Danielle gave this awkward laugh and said, "Oh, he's in tech consulting. Very behind the scenes." I didn't let that slide. "I run a drone logistics consultancy," I said, stepping forward a bit. "Mostly routing systems for time-sensitive cargo. We've been building out hospital drone delivery networks for the past 2 years." Commander Sloan nodded slowly, eyes locked on mine. "That's not behind the scenes. That's operational architecture. Real-time solutions." Danielle jumped in too fast. "Right, but it's not really aviation. You know, not like our flight side." Sloan didn't blink. "Sure. But this," she said, gesturing between us. "This is the first I've heard he even existed." Danielle's face flushed. "We try to keep things separate. Professionalism, you know?" "Really?" Sloan tilted her head. "I've heard you talk at length about Aruba, about that bachelorette weekend in Tahoe. Even your cat's dental surgery." Someone in the group coughed, stifling a laugh. "But not a single mention of your husband?" Sloan's voice dropped, cool and pointed. "Not even once?" Danielle looked like someone had slapped her. "He's just not usually at these things," she said weakly. "Clearly," Sloan said, then turned to me again. "We've been overdue for ops optimization on our charter routing. You ever work with passenger-side redundancies?" I nodded. "Built contingency systems for medical evacuations. Probably 90% overlap with your long-range charter logistics." Her smile was slight, but sharp. I figured. Danielle tried to steer it back. Well, I don't think we're looking for outside input right now. But Sloane ignored her. You should stop by the tower sometime. We run lean, and that kind of thinking doesn't come through the door every day. I didn't even have to respond. Danielle was already scrambling. We have internal tools. Apex prefers to build in-house. Sloane turned on her. Relax. It was a conversation. I just like to know who's in the room. Danielle opened her mouth like she was about to dig in. But Sloane cut her off with one last line. Funny what gets shared around here. Vacation stories, private jokes, pet names for aircraft. Yet somehow, your husband doesn't make the cut. Then she turned and walked off. Just like that. No drama, no scene, just clean, controlled exit. The group stood in stunned silence for a beat. Then I heard someone whisper, "Holy hell!" Danielle wouldn't look at me. Her hands were clenched around her wine glass so tight I thought it might shatter. She tried to play it off, cleared her throat and started up a weak conversation about updated FAA logs with someone from scheduling. But no one was really listening. They were all still watching her. I drifted away from the group without saying anything. No one stopped me. Danielle was locked in with her team, pretending everything wasn't cracking beneath her heels. I needed air or space or just less of all of it. The far wall of the hangar was all glass. Floor-to-ceiling windows looking out over the tarmac, floodlights casting sharp white beams across the runway. Jets sat parked like statues, sleek and silent. I found a spot by the window and leaned my hands on the railing, breathing slow. A minute later, I heard footsteps. Controlled. Confident. Not heels, boots. I didn't need to turn around. Hell of a view, Commander Sloane said. I looked over. She stood beside me, arms crossed again, posture perfect. Up close, she was even more intense. That kind of calm you only get from people who've ordered around million-dollar machinery while the world burned behind them. Nice to meet someone in this place who doesn't talk in acronyms, I said. She smiled, just a flicker. I don't waste time. We stood there a beat longer, watching a fuel truck crawl between two jets. Been meaning to ask, she said. How long's your wife been treating you like ballast? My stomach twisted. I glanced at her, thinking maybe she was joking. She wasn't. Excuse me? You heard me. That wasn't new behavior back there. That was routine. Controlled. Practiced. I looked down at the floor. It's complicated. No, she said. It's simple. She doesn't talk about you. Not in meetings. Not in crew briefings. Not even at base events where every other spouse gets mentioned at least once. I stayed quiet. She turned to face me fully. I've been watching it for months. Watching her. The way she's polished and clipped when your name comes up. Or how it doesn't. I shook my head. We just try to keep work and home separate. Bullshit, she said flatly. You've been benched in your own life. You know it. You just don't want to say it out loud. That one landed. I didn't answer right away. Couldn't. She reached into her jacket, pulled out a sleek white card, and held it out. This isn't subtle, she said. But I'm not a subtle person. I took the card. Her name printed clean across the top, Commander Sloane Hartley, Chief Flight Operations. Direct line. No fluff. I see value, she said, her voice lower now. Others might miss it, but I don't. I swallowed, the weight of the moment pressing in tight behind my ribs. She wasn't flirting. She wasn't pitying. She was just stating facts. And for some reason, that hit harder than any compliment I'd ever gotten. Before I could speak, she turned her head toward the crowd. Your wife's coming over now, she said. She stepped away, slow and smooth like nothing had happened. Let's see how you handle this next part. Then she disappeared back into the crowd, and I was left holding the card, heart pounding, as Danielle made her way across the hangar, face tight, heels sharp against the floor. While you're listening, tell us which country you're watching from. Danielle reached me with a fake smile already loaded on her face like nothing had happened. There you are, she said, looping her arm through mine like she'd always done that. You just wandered off? Needed a break. I said, holding up the commander's card between two fingers. Had a good talk with Sloane. Her hand tightened around my arm. Oh, yeah. She's interested in consulting. Ops optimization. Said they're overdue. Her smile twitched, not in a good way. She said that to you? Her voice dropped half a notch. Yep. Told her a bit about my systems. She seemed intrigued. Danielle gave a sharp laugh. Too loud. Too fast. Okay, sure. But Sloane doesn't hire vendors. That goes through executive strategy. Just then, Sloane appeared near the drinks table, calm, composed, pouring herself something dark. She said she'll follow up, I added casually. Danielle's smile dropped for real now. Her eyes snapped over to Sloane, then back to me. Well, that's surprising, she muttered. I raised an eyebrow. Why? She doesn't just offer things like that. And besides, Apex doesn't need some outside guy parachuting in with ideas that don't fit. I shrugged. Guess she disagrees. Danielle pulled me tighter like I was about to bolt. Her voice got this sugar-coated edge, all presentation, zero warmth. Babe, you don't understand how political this company is. It's not about ideas, it's about positioning. You're walking into something way over your head. Pretty sure she knows what she's doing, I said, voice flat. Her eyes scanned the room like someone was watching, and they were. A few of her co-workers were definitely side-glancing, pretending not to listen. I just think it's not the right look, Danielle whispered. You talking to my boss alone? That doesn't help me. I didn't know helping you was tonight's mission, I said. She didn't answer, just kept holding onto my arm like I might vanish. The rest of the night, she barely let me move. Every time someone approached to talk to me, to greet her, she stepped in first, redirected, controlled the narrative. Oh, this is my husband. He's just tagging along tonight. We're trying to stay out of shop talk. Right, babe? He's not in aviation, but he's very supportive. Supportive, like a hobbyist, like someone who holds your bag while you pilot a jet. I stopped talking, just watched her work, spinning plates while sweat built along her hairline. She laughed too loud, interrupted everyone, acted like nothing mattered except managing whatever wildfire she thought was spreading. But here's the thing, it wasn't me they were watching anymore. It was her. Her erratic movements, her clumsy damage control, her forced jokes and tightened jaw every time Sloane glanced our way. At one point, a guy from systems whispered to the woman next to him and nodded toward us. She didn't even try to be subtle as her eyes swept Danielle up and down like a checklist gone wrong. Danielle noticed. Her back stiffened. I need to go say goodnight to Rick, she said suddenly. Come with me. I'm fine right here. She didn't budge. Chris, let's go. I stood still, looked her straight in the eye. Go ahead. She stared at me for half a second too long. Eyes wide, nostrils flared, then turned and walked off alone, heels clicking like gunfire against the hangar floor. Before listening further, drop a comment with your city or state. Where are you watching from tonight? I stepped through the side doors and out onto the open-air patio by the jet strip. The night air hit me clean and sharp, way better than whatever recycled oxygen was still swirling inside that hangar. The runway lights stretched out across the tarmac like a landing strip to nowhere. A couple jets sat lit up like showroom pieces, engines off, wheels still warm from earlier flights. I gripped the railing and let the quiet sink in. Didn't last long. Heels again, hers this time. Danielle came out fast, still in control mode. She looked over her shoulder before stepping closer, like she was checking if anyone had followed her. You can't just walk off like that, she said. I didn't look at her. Sure I can. You're making this harder than it needs to be, she snapped. This is my workplace. I have to manage my image, Chris. You showing up the way you did. I wore the tux you picked. I smiled. I shook hands. What part of that tanked your image? She crossed her arms. It's not about the tux. It's about tone. How you speak. How you insert yourself into conversations. I didn't insert myself, I said, finally turning to her. Your boss came to me. She ignored that. You're not in aviation. You don't understand the stakes here. People here are watching everything. We have investors, board members, right? So I'm supposed to what? Blend in. Her mouth twitched. Yes, exactly. Blend in, be supportive, stay low-key. I stepped closer. That sounds a hell of a lot like disappear. She hesitated, just long enough to confirm it. Then the door behind us opened again. Commander Sloan stepped out, jacket off now, sleeves rolled to her elbows. Calm, sharp, no hesitation in her stride. Coincidence? Not a damn chance. Didn't mean to interrupt, she said, walking straight toward us. I just needed air. Danielle's face tightened. She didn't move. Sloan nodded at me. Wanted to circle back on our earlier talk. If you're serious about consulting, I've got a few systems we can look at next quarter. We've had gaps on night route redundancies for months. Might be a perfect test case. She was standing close now, not inappropriate, just close enough that Danielle noticed. Danielle stepped in, voice raised. Okay, what is this? Sloan didn't flinch. This is a business conversation. Danielle laughed once. Sharp and ugly. No, I see what's going on here. You're making a move. On him. I blinked. What? Sloan froze, like full stop, mid-breath frozen. I'm sorry, she said. Danielle pointed at her, voice rising. You've been circling all night like some corporate cougar. Flirting. Giving him your card. Now brushing up like this. This is wildly inappropriate. The air went dead. I turned, and sure enough, 2 people inside had already turned toward the window. A third stepped out the side door, just in time to catch the tail end of Danielle's outburst. Sloane's voice dropped cold. You're accusing me of hitting on your husband? Danielle blinked, like maybe she didn't hear herself until it was already out there. I'm saying you've crossed lines. Everyone sees it. Sloane took a step back. Her expression didn't change. No panic, no stammering. Just steel. You just accused your direct superior of sexual misconduct, she said. There it was. You could hear a pin drop. Do you think Danielle knew exactly what she was doing? Or was she just unraveling? Drop your answer in the comments. Like and subscribe for more stories. Commander Sloan didn't blink. Did you just accuse me of sexual misconduct? Her voice wasn't raised, but it hit harder than a shout. Cold, controlled, like she'd been through far worse with far less warning. Danielle froze. Her mouth opened, then closed. I could see the moment it hit her, what she'd just said, who she said it to, and where she'd said it. I didn't mean it like that, she stammered. I just meant it was weird, that's all. The body language, the timing, it looked. She trailed off. Useless. Inside the hangar, people were staring through the glass. 2 stepped outside. One of them had his phone out. Another couple near the door paused mid-conversation, eyes locked on us. Sloane turned her head just slightly toward the growing audience, then looked back at Danielle. I take accusations seriously, she said, calm as ever. That comment you just made? It constitutes a formal claim of inappropriate conduct. In public, at a work-sponsored event. Danielle shook her head fast, hands up. No, I take it back. I was upset. It was a misunderstanding. I didn't file anything. You said it loud enough for multiple people to hear. I stepped in, trying to lower the temperature. Look, maybe we can talk inside. No, Sloane said, cutting her eyes toward me. This doesn't get swept under the rug. You want to know what would happen if a male exec said that to a female employee's husband? Career suicide. PR crisis. And rightly so. Danielle looked like she was about to cry. It was stress, she said, voice cracking. I wasn't thinking. Came out wrong. You're a manager, Sloane said. Your entire job is built on thinking before speaking. The patio had gone dead quiet. No music out here. Just wind and runway hum and Danielle's shaky breathing. She turned to me, desperate. Chris, please, say something. Help me out here. I held my hands up. What do you want me to say? Tell her it's not what it looked like. Tell her I wasn't accusing her of anything real. I looked at her, really looked, and said, You broke it. Danielle's whole body stiffened. Are you kidding me right now? You called your boss a predator in front of half your company. You don't walk that back. You were, God. This is insane. It's reality, Sloane said, stepping forward. There are witnesses. There's event footage. Your own voice on record. If I don't report this, I'm liable. Danielle whipped toward her. So what, you're going to burn my career over one comment? Over him. That did it. Sloane's jaw flexed once before she answered. This has nothing to do with your husband. It has everything to do with you. Danielle looked back and forth between us like she couldn't figure out which one of us to hate more. This is so messed up, she whispered. I crossed my arms. So is treating me like background noise for years and losing your mind the second someone actually values what I do. I built my reputation from scratch, she said, eyes now full of tears. I gave this company everything. Sloane's voice dropped. And you just torched it in 30 seconds flat. Danielle opened her mouth, but nothing came out. Back near the doors, the phones were still out. Her colleagues were still watching. Some had that same awkward sympathy you give someone at a funeral, and some didn't even bother hiding the smirks. Sloane gave her one last look. You'll be contacted by HR first thing Monday. You're on formal review effective immediately. Then she turned and walked away, slow, deliberate steps. No rush. She didn't have to run. The damage was already done. Danielle stood there, shaking, eyes glassy, her mouth opening like she still thought she could undo it if she just found the right words. She never did. Was I wrong for letting her take the full hit? Or was it her mess to clean up? Drop your answer in the comments and don't forget to like and subscribe. The car ride home was dead quiet, except for Danielle sobbing into her sleeve like it might drown out everything she just detonated. I didn't say a word. Hands on the wheel, eyes on the road. We passed a gas station, a billboard for some personal injury lawyer, an empty Waffle House parking lot. Every mile, her breath got shakier. You don't understand, she finally choked out. I wasn't thinking. I panicked. I kept driving. You saw how she was acting. You could have stepped in. You could have said something. You wanted me invisible all night, I said, still staring straight ahead. You got it. She sucked in a shaky breath. You're seriously going to let this ruin everything I've worked for? No, I said. You already did that. Back at the house, she went straight to the kitchen table and opened her laptop. I kicked off my shoes and headed for the bar cart. Poured myself a bourbon. No ice. She was already typing fast, fingers shaking, reading her own words out loud under her breath. To whom it may concern regarding the events of, I sincerely apologize if my phrasing, no tone, suggested. It was damage control in real time. Sloppy, panicked, pointless. I walked past her and placed Commander Sloane's card on the counter. Didn't say anything. Just laid it there and took another sip. She saw it. Stopped typing. Are you taking the job? She asked. Maybe. Her mouth twisted like the word slapped her. So that's it? You're jumping ship. You were never letting me on board in the first place. Her eyes flared. So you are sleeping with her. I laughed once, dry. What right do you have to ask me that after tonight? She stood up so fast the chair legs screeched across the tile. You don't just get to throw away a marriage because I had a bad night. A bad night? You tried to take down your boss on a hot mic. She pointed at the card. And you're ready to fall right into her lap? She offered me respect, I snapped. Something you haven't done in years. Her face crumpled, voice small. I was just stressed. I stepped forward, close enough to feel the heat coming off her. Stress doesn't make you belittle your husband in public, or act like he's dead weight, or treat his success like a threat. She blinked hard. Tears slipped down her cheeks. You know I didn't mean it like that. You meant it every time you made me your prop. Every time you introduced me like some awkward footnote. Every time you needed me quiet just so you could shine a little brighter. She didn't answer, just stood there, staring at the floor like it might forgive her if I wouldn't. The card stayed where it was, white, clean, powerful, like a new door waiting to be opened. And for the first time in a long time, I wasn't asking for permission. Would you walk away after this, or give her one last shot? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. She was already pacing the kitchen when I came downstairs. Phone pressed tight to her ear. Barefoot, hair a mess, still in her robe. Not the polished version of her the company usually got. Of course I understand, she said, voice tight. Yes, I'll prepare a full statement. No, I'm not denying what I said. I'm only asking that the context be. I didn't bother listening to the rest. Just walked past her and flipped on the coffee machine. It sputtered and hissed while she kept begging someone on the other end not to end her entire career over one moment. I poured my mug, added a splash of creamer, and leaned against the counter. Then my phone buzzed. Commander Sloan Hartley. I picked up on the second ring. Morning, she said, crisp and clear. Hope I'm not catching you in the middle of chaos. I glanced over at Danielle. She had her back turned now, whispering something sharp and panicked into her phone. Not at all, I said. Perfect timing. Good, Sloan said. Let's meet at 2. My office. And I'd like to invite you to dinner afterward. Something quieter. Less dramatic. Couldn't help the smile. Sounds ideal. She gave me the address, confirmed the time, and hung up without a single wasted word. All business. All control. Danielle turned around as I set the phone down. Her face was pale, eyes glassy. She'd heard enough. You're going? She asked. Yep. She stepped closer, hands out like she was about to pray. Don't. Please. Just wait. Give me a chance to fix this. I said nothing. I'll go to therapy, she rushed out. I'll change. I'll include you more. No more secrets. No more acting like we're not married. Just don't do this. I took a long sip of coffee. Let it burn. You made choices last night, I said, slow and flat. I'm making mine now. Her face cracked. One single tear slid down her cheek. She nodded once, like she understood even if she hated it. Then she grabbed her bag and keys, shoulders hunched like she'd aged 10 years since yesterday. No words. No excuses left. She walked out the door looking like she was heading to her own funeral. And for once, I didn't follow. Would you take that meeting too? Or give her one last shot? Let's hear it in the comments. Hit like and subscribe if this one hit close to home. The Apex headquarters tower sat just off the Burbank airfield. All brushed metal and blue glass. Sleek, efficient, cold as hell. I walked in past the security gate and gave my name. They already had a pass waiting. A young assistant in a black jumpsuit walked me up to the top floor. Quiet elevator. Polished steel walls. I could see myself in every direction. Clean shave, collared shirt, no wedding ring. Sloane's office sat behind a wall of smoked glass. The door opened before I even knocked. She stood there, same boots, different jacket, still just as composed. She gave me a quick nod. Right on time. Always, I said. The space looked exactly like I expected it to. Floor-to-ceiling windows, 2 minimalist chairs across from a slab of a desk, jet models lined along a chrome shelf. One wall covered in international route maps pinned with color-coded flags. Not a single piece of clutter. We sat, and for the first hour it was strictly business. She'd reviewed my site, my past contracts, my routing logic reports. She had real questions, specific ones, about drone-to-ground handoff lag and weather variance pathing. We dove deep. I had answers. By the time she leaned back and said, I want to bring you in for 6 months. Test contract, full ops access, advisory level 72 per. I already knew I was taking it. No games, no fluff, just clean respect. But then she closed her folder, and her tone shifted. Let's not pretend there's only business here. I didn't speak right away. She didn't flinch. I'm not offering anything inappropriate, she said. I'm not here to create rumors or power dynamics. But I'm not blind, and I'm not quiet. I leaned back slightly, watching her. You've been shoved to the sidelines long enough, she continued. You're not a sidekick. You're not a plus one. And you sure as hell aren't some accessory to make someone else look stable. I let that land. Because damn, She wasn't wrong. I'm offering clarity, she said. Not pressure. I nodded once, slowly. You saw it before I did. She smiled, just a little. I've worked on flight decks long enough to know when a system's failing, even if it still looks like it's flying. Silence sat between us for a few seconds, thick but not heavy. Then she stood, walked around the desk, and stopped just a few feet from where I sat. I made a dinner reservation, she said. Private place, no cameras, good food, just two people talking, whatever comes of it. I looked up at her. Just options, she added. I stood, straightened my sleeves, met her eyes. Yeah, I said. I'm in. She didn't smile big. She didn't celebrate. Just nodded once like she expected that answer the whole time. Good, she said. We'll leave at 6. And that was that. What would you have done in his shoes? Take the offer or walk away? Drop your answer below. And hey, if you're hooked, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe. I didn't go home that night. Sloane's suite was quiet, high floor, city lights flickering like runway strobes out the window. We talked. We drank. We didn't pretend. No drama. No pressure. When I woke up, sunlight poured in through the glass. I stretched, stood, looked around, and felt nothing but peace. No guilt. No second guessing. Just done. By 9, I was back at the house. Door unlocked. Danielle was already sitting on the couch, still in the clothes from yesterday, eyes puffy and red. She stood up fast. Where were you? Her voice cracked on the last word. But she didn't need the answer. She already knew. I didn't answer her question. Just walked past, up the stairs, pulled the suitcase from the closet, and dropped it on the bed. The sound made her flinch. She followed me. You're really doing this? She whispered. I pulled open the drawer, took out the envelope I'd hidden months ago. Quiet insurance. Just in case. I handed it to her. She looked down, confused at first. Then her hands started to shake. Chris, come on. Don't do this. We can fix it. I'll go to therapy. I'll change. Just give me a chance. I zipped the suitcase. You had years, I said. You wasted them hiding me. She stepped in my way. You're throwing everything away. No, I said, brushing past her. You did that the moment you decided I wasn't worth respect. I walked down the stairs, suitcase in hand, her voice following me the whole way. Pleading, promising, begging. I didn't stop, didn't look back. That was the last time I ever walked out of that house. 3 months later, I had a new place downtown, my own schedule, and a consulting contract signed with Apex. Sloane and I had dinner most nights, usually somewhere quiet, never anywhere fake. Danielle? She got demoted. Internal move, no direct reports. She sent one text a few weeks ago. Can we talk? I stared at it for maybe 10 seconds. Then hit delete. Some endings are permanent, and that's exactly the point. Drop your take in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories like this.